Hello, my name is Peregrine. At the gym today, I watched The Boys finale, and I was impressed with how they managed to turn the tides of what really seemed like a doomed finale into a good one that left me smiling. Sure, there were flaws, but personally speaking, I'm happy with it. But aside from silly jokes on tombstones and the gory details of Homelander's death, the best scene in the finale was the confrontation in Vought Tower where Butcher committed suicide. But Peregrine, I hear you say, Huey killed Butcher. What do you mean suicide? Well, let me run you through it. Throughout the entire show, Butcher was only alive for three things: revenge, Ryan, and terror. He had no greater purpose or reason for living than these three things, and it became very apparent to me that after he killed his father, Butcher did not plan on surviving much longer, even if he survived the series. So after he got his revenge, confirmed what he already knew, that Ryan wanted nothing to do with him, then found Terror dead in his room, Butcher truly had nothing left to live for other than to be a pestilence in the lives of the people that deep down he genuinely loved. So he concocted a plan to guarantee his life gets taken and that the world is left a better place without him. The plan was as follows. Being the most empathetic in the group, it was most likely that Huey was going to be the first to check on Butcher to see how he's doing. Butcher left the emptied storage cylinder where the virus was on specifically in view so Huey would notice the lack of virus and would come to Vought Tower alone without Kimiko or Annie due to the risk of infection. In this scene in particular, there are heavy parallels between this duo and Lenny and his father. Butcher replicating his father's uncaring villainy and thoughtless violence, and Huey attempting to appeal to the humanity of an evil man with little to none remaining. As stated multiple times throughout the series, Huey is just like Lenny, and the only way Butcher survived his horrible childhood was by essentially becoming his father. However, Butcher was unable to completely become his father because he really loved Lenny, which meant it broke his heart when he committed suicide. Lenny gave up. Sadly, he couldn't take it any longer, and Butcher was not there for him. Deep inside Butcher's heart, he knew that when Lenny died, a beautiful soul and a spark of hope was lost in the world. And in his mind, he blamed himself. He believed that his inability to save his brother meant he was no different from his father, so Butcher used the evils that his father passed down onto him to recreate that abusive relationship between his father and his brother, with him taking the role of his father and Huey taking the role of Lenny, to manufacture a scenario where the right man dies. Instead of Lenny, this time the father will die. As Huey rightfully points out during the fight, if Butcher truly wanted to release the virus, he would have done it already. So, realising Huey might be catching on, Butcher ups the ante with high levels of physical abuse, smashing his face in, to give the impression to Huey that he was deadly serious and that he needs to kill him. Then, in what seems like his final moments, Huey does what Lenny could not do. Huey pulls the trigger and shoots his abusive father figure. Through Butcher's death, a beautiful soul and spark of hope that he failed to preserve is reignited through Huey. His sin of failing to stand up to his father had been atoned for in guiding someone stronger than both of them to take action when it is necessary. As the old saying goes, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing, and unlike Butcher, this good man refuses to do nothing. In my opinion, the virus was never placed into the sprinklers. The virus is probably buried somewhere in the woods, in a nice wooden box, waiting for the earth to swallow it whole and nullify it. Butcher never planned on actually releasing it, like Huey suggested, but he still killed him, as he couldn't take that risk, protecting those he loves in a way that Butcher couldn't. In a weird, fucked up way, Butcher did what he did to make the world a better place, and in an even more fucked up way, it ended up working. Butcher always needed Lenny to stop him, and in the end, the spirit of Lenny permanently stopped him and let him rest. I choose to describe this as a suicide because the entire plan was set up for Butcher to die. He wanted to die, but at the same time, he knew he couldn't die until specifically Huey killed him, to allow him to properly rest knowing that the world had recovered from his ultimate sin and greatest mistake. With that bullet, the great equilibrium had been restored, and William Butcher was finally at peace.